Hey there guys, my name is Bradrenalin, aka the Alolan Snorlax. In this part of my breeding guide, I'm going to show you how to breed for IVs. So we're off to Mount Hokulani, I think it's pronounced. Over with the observatory, we're going to find some dittos. We're going to be using the SOS chaining mechanic and catching some 3 to 4 IV dittos. Now the magic number for encounters for this is around the 40s. So you'll be chaining for a while and you'll want to be covering 31 stats in at least every stat. So if you can get 2 free IV dittos and have every stat covered, then you'll be able to go on to the next part of this guide. So in the previous part of my breeding guide, I showed you how to get egg moves onto any of your Pokemon that you were breeding for. I've got a Litten here that has Crunch, Heat Wave and Nasty Plot that are all egg moves. And now we're going to breed this from 0 IVs all the way up to 5 IVs, as I'd like to use it as a special attacker. So I'd like 5 31 IVs without attack. So I'm going to take a Ditto and we're going to start breeding. I of course don't have the nature I want yet either, as I'd like the modest nature. So I won't be using an Everstone, I'll only be using a Destiny Knot, which is held by the Ditto as it has the most perfect IVs out of the 2 parents. So I've placed the Litten and the Ditto in the daycare. Now we're going to go back to the spot to hurry up and get some eggs. What I'll be doing each time is I'll be getting a batch of 5 eggs and then I'll cut from this point and then we'll see what we've got. So we've got an egg here, and then I will cut to 5 hatched eggs. So now it's time to look through the batch of 5 Littens that I've hatched. I'm using the judge function, which you can unlock by hatching 20 eggs and then talking to the IV judge from Gen 6 over at the battle tree. He'll give you the function and then he'll wander off somewhere, but basically I'm looking to choose one with the most perfect IVs that I want. So I don't want perfect IVs in attack. I do want Spatak, HP, Spadef, defense and speed. So now that we have a Litten with at least 3 IVs, which I'll be putting back into the nursery instead of the 0 IV, there'll be a higher chance to pass down a 31 IV due to how the Destiny Knot works. Because both of the parents now have a higher number of 31 IVs, it could still be completely random for the stat. For example, we might pass down the HP IV from a parent and then a random Spatak IV, even though Spatak is what we want to go for. This is why I think it's good to do a batch at a time, because then you can see the differences you got from the Destiny Knot rather than one at a time. I also think it's nicer, you know, you get like a 5-10 minute break and then you come back, have a little think about who you're going to swap in next. So you basically IV creep your parent each time. So if in this case the Litten, we started off with 0 IVs, we got one with 3 IVs, and now we're going to keep doing this each time until we get the Litten that we want. So I'll probably cut to that in a second, so I'll see you in a second. So I've done another batch of 5 Litten, I'm putting them in a separate row, and then I noticed that one of them has Modest, and this is the nature that I want to go for. So I'll be picking this back up in a second. That's the wrong one, that's Brave, but it has 3 IVs. So now we move over to Spatak and Speed, 3 IV. So I think this is the modest one. I can tell by the color of the stats. I'm still looking at the other ones to see what IVs they were, but now I get my modest one, and I'm going to put this back in my party, and I'm going to give it the Everstone and swap out the 3 IV one, because the 3 IV one had a 31 in attack, Spatak and speed, and if you remember, I didn't want any attack. One batch later, and we're again looking at the IVs. I find a 5 IV, although it's got 31 in attack, sorry, so that's not what I want, but it is still very nice to have. I'm currently looking for one that has everything, well, or as many as possible without 31 in attack, so that I can, again, IV creep my other Litten. As this is what you do, this is just how it works. Each time you get an extra IV, you just creep it each time, and then I take this one, and I basically hope that instead of defense, I get attack. And once again, I will be back with the next batch. Now that we have a 5 IV Litten inside the daycare, this should be the final batch, or one of the final batches. We've got the nature we want, we've got our egg moves, now we just need to judge and find what we want. This is 5 IV without HP, so it's almost there. That looked like it was the one I wanted, because it had everything except attack. Let's look at the rest though. That has everything except HP. So I'll be going back to it in a second. Yeah, so It's not this one, it's this one. There you go. So we've got 5 IVs and it looks like 28 or 29 in attack. I think that'll do. I mean, you don't need to get 0 in attack because it resists foul play anyway. It doesn't do too much damage. I'm pretty happy with that. So what I do when I'm finished is I like to nickname my Pokemon. So I'm going to go over to the name rater and name it. I'm going to name him World Champ because of that fire belt he's got on. Anyway, that is about all we've got time for in this video. Hopefully you learned something. If you're having any trouble with this, then just leave a comment. I love getting back to all the comments. But yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching, and maybe I'll see you again soon.